Welcome to Supply Chain Network Design. Mark Spielis here. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to shore up more of the supply chain network design with the example of Kia. We've looked at a couple of videos so far relative to West Point, Georgia and Kia manufacturing, but now I'm going to pull in the academic side of it. And both videos showed the side of business decisions and why the business decisions were made. Also, the humanistic side of it and the marketing side of it. So hopefully some of you remember that, the videos from the 2020 Super Bowl. So we're going to go ahead and view West Point, Georgia and Kia and the decisions. I spent a lot of time down in West Point, Georgia back in 2010, 2011, so almost 10 years ago, and was instrumental in coordinating transportation for Magna Seating, which is one of the suppliers for Kia and their manufacturing plant. So this is what the plant looks like as you drive by. It's about 80 miles to the west of Atlanta, and it's a pretty massive plant. It's almost like a major city there. All right, so let's look at the framework for network design and the steps. And you can go through your book and see the various steps here, but I think it's easier to relate those steps to a specific example. So we're going to first look at facility role. And of course, that is the first decision that's made when we're looking at network design. What is the role of that facility? All right. And the role of the facility tied into the strategy for Kia. Kia wanted to compete. They wanted to compete directly in the U.S. market, so it tied into their strategy. They're going to manufacture cars at the plant. They also had production technology. So Kia comes in, South Korea. It's a technology-based country, right? So they had production technology existing. One of the main reasons that they located, they being Kia, to the United States, and many manufacturers locate in automotive to various countries, it's to reduce the impact of the exchange rate. So they want to be close to their customer, but the exchange rate can take a lot of profits out when the exchange rates change. So if they manufacture in that country where their market is at, they minimize the impact of the exchange rate. Then lastly, by manufacturing in the United States versus in South Korea, they reduce the transportation expense. All right. So let's first look at the strategy. And the strategy, their competitive strategy was to compete directly with U.S. manufacturers. They wanted to be a low-cost provider. So when you look at Kia and the rollout of their vehicles, it's an economical vehicle. They, again, are a technology leader. They wanted to be responsive to the customer demand and fluctuations in demand, being very close and manufacturing close to the customer enable them to do that. And then the next part of this first phase, in phase one of the strategy, is do they have any internal constraints? Kia had significant capital, which enabled them to go ahead and expand. And United States was not part of their current network, so they wanted to expand. They want to expand their current network, and they wanted to compete directly again with U.S. automotive manufacturing. All right, so let's recap that. They wanted, number one, access. This is all part of the strategy, by the way, access to the U.S. market. They wanted to compete directly with U.S. manufacturers, Ford, General Motors, Chrysler, Volkswagen is already here. So they wanted to compete directly with them. All right, so at the time, we were going through a recession and fuel prices were fairly high. So at the time, gas prices were right around $4 a gallon, which is insane considering how low they are today. And we were going through a recession. So Kia appealed to customers who didn't have much money to spend but may have needed a new car. All right, phase two, regional facility configuration. In other words, Kia knows they want to locate in the United States. Where in the United States do they want to locate? All right, and they determined that they wanted to locate in Southeast United States. There wasn't a lot of manufacturing in that portion of the U.S. at that time. One of the reasons they wanted to locate to the United States was reduce the impact of the exchange rate. But the reason they wanted to locate in Southeast United States is low-cost labor. All right, They wanted to stay away from UAW influences, which influence labor costs and UAW in the Midwest. Okay, and the other reason they were able to, and they wanted to focus on that area, is they had a commitment from their suppliers, the sourcing suppliers who supply the parts for the cars, who committed to moving down to Southeast United States. All right, so potential sites in Southeast United States, Alabama, Mississippi, and then Georgia. So they, as part of this phase, they said, okay, let's narrow it down. Let's narrow down these states that are available. Let's see if any one of these various states in Southeast United States gives us any type of advantage. And this is when manufacturers will look at the available labor, they'll look at labor costs in a state. So states are literally competing against one another every single day for manufacturing and other types of business. Okay, so minimum wage rates do come into play here. All right, so that's phase 3. Moving on, in phase 3, Kia decided on available skilled workers, and they were available in West Point, Georgia. So they said, okay, let's narrow this down. We've got available textile industry workers, which you should have seen in the video. They were available, they were skilled, they had a strong work ethic. And there was available infrastructure. Through the second video, you saw the rail hubs that were already existing there through the textile industry. So that infrastructure, the transportation infrastructure, was already existing. And the suppliers, again, committed to going down there and relocating some of their operations, their manufacturing operations in West Point, Georgia. So finally, they make their location choice. And the factors that went into that choice, and they located in West Point, Georgia, were some local decisions that went into it. Number one, the city of West Point and Troup County, that's the county, provided $130 million in tax abatements, tax rebates. All right. The DOT constructed roads and exchanges. If you've ever driven through there, or if you do, the infrastructure, the roads, the on-ramps and off-ramps, it's in great shape. So they built up the infrastructure, and the DOT for Georgia committed to $30 million. Local organizations built the infrastructure with water, sewer, gas lines, electric power, and contributed another $21 million to that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, CSX had an existing rail hub there for the textile industry. They said, okay, we're gonna contribute to that. We'll go ahead and we'll contribute to that by building up that rail hub and build that up. So these are all the factors that went in that enabled Kia to make the decision to locate in West Point, Georgia. All right. So thanks for tuning into this. Hopefully this summary goes through the various things that are important regarding Kia's decision to locate in West Point, Georgia. Thanks for joining me. Make it a great day.